My friend Chip Patterson, CBSSports.com, Cover 3 podcast moderator, fellow person probably let down financially by Bryson DeChambeau, but I was not unhappy about it at all. Maybe we'll talk about that if time allows. How are you, sir?
The phrase is hedging happiness.
Yeah.
Some call it the emotional hedge. My friend Mackenzie Brooks, she likes to call it hedging happiness. I was probably more heartbroken over some other, I don't know, a triple bogey on 18 that was a bit costly in terms of a final finishing position. The inability for one of the top ball strikers in the world, Colin Morikawa, to be able to convert on an opportunity for a little bit of a better finishing position. No, the pain on my card was more found elsewhere, not necessarily with the final winner.
No, I was. We'll talk about that later. All right, let's get to it. I don't know. I can't pronounce his name. I thought I had it.
Come on, Adam. This guy has been the face of NIL.
Dude.
This guy, in 2022, we got our hands on the first $8 million NIL deal. We actually got to see what goes into these things. In 2024, the Tennessee State Attorney General sued the NCAA over this man. Yeah. And now he has become yet again. I mean, it's just, I don't know where this ends with Nico Iamaleava, but
that's not that hard to say. Iamaleava, yeah, that's easy.
It was just like Tua Tagovailoa. You had to take it in the pieces, and then over time, you figure out how to get the pieces together. So
it took me like 3 years to say Antetokounmpo. I'm not even kidding. I don't know why it's that hard for me, but Iamaleava is very easy. Your thoughts on where we the decision to hold out, how this blew up, the amount of people that are just going, "Yay, Tennessee!" I get it. You know, we're uncomfortable. We haven't seen this before, and it's certainly not a good thing to see a kid hold out when there's really that much money. But I have no idea what happened behind the scenes. But what are your thoughts on this situation?
It's important. It is very, very important to understand the difference between yay Tennessee, yay Josh Heupel. I think it's being misread a lot because Josh Heupel has a cell phone full of text messages from coaches that are saying, "That's right.
Yeah,
that's right," because these coaches have faced the same things that Josh Heupel has been dealing with, which is players looking to renegotiate their NIL deals between the end of the regular season and the start of the college football playoff.
Right.
Forget holdout of a Friday spring practice. The headaches that have been going into this situation and others that don't get as much attention have been all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you don't have any kind of accountability put in writing, and you've talked about employment, you've talked about collective bargaining, you've pointed to all the things that would solve some of these problems, but those solutions aren't here. It's not the reality that they're living in.
Correct.
And these are college football players, these are college football coaches. The world does not exist beyond the next 6 months. That is an incredibly short-sighted, short-term viewpoint by everybody in college sports, from the suits at the top all the way to the players that are getting it done on the field. So I think that for Tennessee, there has to be some relief that this player, their camp, everything that is the circus that has surrounded him is moving on. And that's why you don't see a demand for him on the open market. That's why we're talking about stalled negotiations at UCLA. At UCLA.
Who needs a quarterback?
Who's got like a low ball offer out there.
They had his brother.
On it.
They had his brother. His brother decommitted from UCLA and ended up at Arkansas.
It's it's unfair to Nico, the person, the young man who very clearly has sort of been at the center of this. Because do you know who else has been on the forefront in the face of these NIL big picture topics? Jaden Rashada.
Right, absolutely.
And you know who else is in the transfer portal right now with no home? Jaden Rashada.
Wow.
I mean, it's just like the guys who are at the center of these big money battles and these bag chasers and this who's going to win. And these are players that end up getting left behind. So it's what do I think as we sit here Wednesday, April 16th, news break, story starts last Thursday night, Friday morning, he skips, Saturday morning, they're moving on, couple Cover 3 podcasts, couple HQ hits. Like as I sit here now, I'm sad. I am sad because someone who is clearly talented is now facing the kind of path where when we were discussing this earlier today, we were saying, okay, I guess you go to a G5 program, just try and be as productive as you can just to make it to the NFL. And we are talking about something where it truly is not trying to cherish the high-level college football experience that his talent could have allowed him to have. And it's because they were chasing all the things, on the outside.
But didn't he chase that first? He was a bag chaser before.
Right. I'm
right?
That's why I say you cannot tell me that at 16, 17 years old, the demands for millions of dollars were coming from the 16, 17-year-old.
Oh, it's true. This is definitely about advice, given by whether it's parents or other advisors. I get all of that. I had an adult speak to me at daycare drop-off that said, I hope he gets a pay cut, with like some nastiness in his voice. I was like, sir, why? I'll tell you what, daycare drop-off can really turn you off. It could ruin your day.
I hope he takes a pay cut.
Well, he's going to take a pay cut. There's no question about that.
I mean, that's 100%.
But I got a question earlier about this particular, not necessarily this particular issue, is more broad about how NIL is ruining college sports, which I don't believe it is. It's certainly changing, and I don't think it's ruining it. Nothing's going to ruin college sports. It's more popular now than it ever was. I do think it's going to do some damage. It's going to make certainly college football more concentrated than it's ever been. And I do think, and you and I have talked about this, I think we're going to see a separation from the very top of the sport of college football from the next level of even D1A, just to use the old term. But the amount of money, like, I have a hard time blaming him or even blaming the situation. I just think it's new. We're going to start mirroring pro football. It's going to be it's already a minor league of the NFL right now. Anyway, we're just going to start mirroring that. It's going to be the same thing. But it's the system that was really screwed up by the people in charge. I just think they only have themselves to blame for this.
Oh, well, I think the people that set up the system I don't think that they are concerned about this. It's like, why is their bottom line being hurt?
Well, their bottom line will be hurt some, but they'll make up the money.
By Nico Iamaleava falling through the cracks, a talented player, missing out on millions of dollars of guaranteed earnings and the potential to play.
It'll hurt him a whole lot more than it will hurt the school. Then it will hurt Tennessee. Even if they take, I know Urban Meyer's upset about they're not going to be as good this year. Duh.
Right.
Obviously, when you lose, let's just say he's a top 10 quarterback in college football. I don't know if he is or not, but he's certainly in the ballpark of that. Yeah, they won't be as good. Maybe they can go and get the kid from South Alabama out of the transfer portal. Carolina was in on Nico Iamaleava for just a hot minute.
We need to be very careful about the words that we use when we discuss these situations.
Okay.
I do not know about North Carolina being in on Nico Iamaleava.
I know North Carolina was mentioned.
North Carolina was mentioned as a potential landing spot. the way that it was presented to me was just identifying the combination of two things. And this is on like Saturday morning when the news is fresh. North Carolina is on the short list of 5 or 6 schools because of two things: need at the position and ability to spend. Like that's what got, like, they just basically, you have to be at least this high to ride this ride. And that was when we thought Nico's value was at a different number than what it's probably going to end up at. So, like if Nico Iamaleava ends up going to USF, Nico Iamaleava ends up going to the American Athletic Conference, to the Mountain West, to San Diego State. He's from, the southern Los Angeles metro area.
Does App need a quarterback? Joey Aguilar's gone.
Joey Aguilar is gone. If Joey Aguilar is actually at UCLA.
Yeah.
So Nico could show up and take Joey Aguilar's job, and Joey Aguilar made a pretty penny, according to what I have been told regarding his deal with the Bruins. I think that I think that the fact that we came out with Notre Dame, USC, North Carolina, Texas Tech, UCLA, and one by one, it's like, not interested, not actually serious, not looking for that kind of quarterback. Our eyes are on a different quarterback. We're happy with the quarterback we've got. Or quarterbacks for Notre Dame. It's going to end up being sad. That's kind of where I'm at right now.
Does he have one more? He has more than one more year of eligibility, but he's eligible to go to the NFL draft after next year, correct?
Correct.
Heck, he could rehab his image even by going to a high-profile school for not a lot of NIL, correct? Not that he's going to do that, but
I think that I don't think the NFL cares about image. Everybody,
but I'm just talking about it in the eyes of college football fans. Not that should matter, but he could go to none of this is all hypothetical. He could go to Carolina without an NIL deal and just come and play for a year at Carolina, and then, if he wants to enter the portal, do it again, just to and make it public that he came here for nothing. I'm just saying that there is an ability, because we are a gullible group, sports fans, that he could rehabilitate his image very quickly in 1 year if he wanted to.
He 100% could. I was talking to somebody today who said if he's not eligible for the NFL draft, but in this NFL draft class, he'd be the 4th best quarterback.
Yeah, that's just well, he is talented. We know that he's got incredible size.
I pitched it. I said, what if he just doesn't play? Like, what if he just doesn't play any more college football?
And he doesn't need the money. He got a lot of money to go to Tennessee, right?
It just prepares for the NFL draft. Now, I think that there might be something inside the camp that is very much just trying to cash in. There might have been a mindset going into those conversations with Tennessee that was looking to make sure that he was still going to be the guy when Tennessee had other plans. Tennessee has, I believe he's from North Carolina, Faison Brandon, right?
One
of the top quarterbacks
kid from Greensboro, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so they've got Faison Brandon coming in down the line. They've got a true freshman named George McIntyre, another highly touted guy.
How do you go from Nico Iamaleava to George McIntyre? How do you do that? What are the odds of that?
Hey, how do you go from Hendon Hooker to Joe Milton? Okay, we've Tennessee quarterbacks have taken us on a ride here in the Josh Heupel era. Okay,
I was just talking about names. All right, let me just fold it into the transfer portal. Is Carolina going to get a quarterback out of this? Are they cool with what Baker? I don't think Max Johnson's really might be an option. He shouldn't be an option for them. Is there anything else noteworthy that happened in the portal? I know NC State losing Kendrick Raphael was a big deal. I don't think they saw that right. Maybe they did see it coming, but I thought he was really good for them down the stretch.
Yes, couple of thoughts. Number one, the loss of Bo Atkinson, the team's sacks leader last year,
right,
is significant and disappointing. Like a really good player. That defensive front was already losing a lot of players that had been we have not looked at North Carolina's defense as wanting to hold them up and cover them in glory, but
right.
they've had some really good players over the last couple of years, and losing Bo Atkinson, I think, is a disappointing setback, disappointing change. Now, why did that happen? I don't know. We'll see if there's any more moves to come. They got a linebacker. They are reported to be getting a linebacker out of Nebraska, I believe, who was considered one of the top linebackers in the class. That's going to make what I thought was already their best position room on defense, the linebacker position. That's going to make that group even stronger. So that's a good thing in terms of building out the middle of their defense. And as for the quarterback, you mentioned Gio Lopez's name earlier. 24/7 Sports Matt Zenitz continues to hold on his reporting that North Carolina is expected to get a commitment from Lopez. Lopez was one of the best quarterbacks in the Sun Belt last year. I described it, it's like the sliding scale. Like Sun Belt great can be ACC good, can be maybe Super 2 starter. And so I think Gio Lopez provides them a really good option as long as they're able to secure that commitment, especially if you were looking at Ryan Brown, Max Johnson, not thinking that either one of them were going to be ready to go. You believe in Bryce Baker, and I do think that they do believe in Bryce Baker, but you would maybe not want to throw him into the fire on Labor Day against TCU.
All right, so because this is what the transfer portal will allow you to do. You bring in Gio Lopez because I believe he's just a redshirt freshman. He's got 3 years of eligibility left, whatever I just tried to say. Now, you can't imagine that Bryce Baker's going to be willing to wait around for a bunch of years. So is it a case where you bring in Lopez, maybe he gives you 1 year, and then you allow him to move on and Bryce Baker takes over after that?
Yeah, I mean, if you are investing in Bryce Baker, then you are very much prepared to let Lopez walk. You maybe even think that Lopez, I don't want to speak to, actually, I would need to check in with some people before I really speak to the mentality of how they're building out the quarterback room. I'll just, landing Lopez at the price that they are going to be able to get Lopez is a way better situation for North Carolina football than breaking the bank for Nico Iamaleava.
Right. Okay. That's fair. Any other incomings that we need to know about, or I mean, it's still early. I think the portal just opened, right?
Yeah, Mekhi Bayor, I believe, is he's a linebacker from Missouri. He's considered probably a top 10 player in this spring portal window. You went out, you got him, your defense got better. That's a good thing. There's not a lot of sexy additions necessarily coming to the Triangle, best I can tell. We'll say that Wake's quarterback situation might be coming down to two newbies. They had one of their 3 or 4 quarterbacks hit the portal. I guess that would leave it, I assume, to Robbie Ashford or Deshaun Purdy. Ashford, who came over from South Carolina, Purdy, who came over from Charlotte. So that's another interesting one to keep an eye on for year 1 of Jake Dickert. Remember, Adam, it's Jake Dickert. That's the name of the Wake Forest head coach.
You remember that? I appreciated you reminding me that Wake's football coach was named Jake Dickert. I knew they had a new one. I just didn't know who it was. Now, is this Purdy any relation to Brock?
No, he's more Deshaun than Brock.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, very quickly, I know it's not necessarily
spelled differently too, but
okay. Yeah. Not necessarily your favorite thing in the world to talk about. I'm just curious first of all, we don't know what Judge Wilkin is going to do. She asked them to amend the roster limits to grandfather in and maybe a gradual step down to get to the agreed upon limits, although I still don't understand how a lawsuit filed on behalf of former players would actually enact roster limit sizes across the NCAA, which may or may not be legal anyway. But what happens next with that? What if Claudia Wilkin doesn't approve the settlement because the power conferences and the NCAA refuse to budge on grandfathering these roster sizes in?
I think schools will just start paying.
Yeah, like crazy. They're going to do that now anyway because
Right.
it's going to be hard to get, like, over the next month and a half, 2 months. I think you're going to see massive amounts of money thrown around because they can't check anything.
Yeah, I think the plan, as I understand it, so much work has been put into structuring the budget and spending of an athletic department in preparation for this ruling. I think it's toothpaste out of the tube situation on that. I think that, whether your fiscal year starts in May or June or July or like, I think all of that is still planning to move ahead with the 2025-2026 academic year being such that the school is paying a share of the revenue from media rights deals that would be going into the athletic department to athletes. So what happens if she doesn't approve it? I think they just move ahead, but I could be wrong about that.
I mean, it's going to be wild. My suspicion is that she's going to approve it anyway, but man, we're going to have so many lawsuits if we don't usher in collective bargaining. I still don't believe that. But
to get collective bargaining, then they would have to unionize. And if they're going to have to unionize, now we've got to put in new rules for like state employees. Like the path forward, I think, is
complicated.
I think it's for players to be an employee of a conference.
Right, but if you're going to artificially cap how much players can earn, if you're going to arbitrarily decide, and they're going to have a commission, the College Sports Commission, I think they're calling it. They're going to arbitrarily decide what they believe is a fair market deal and not. You're just opening yourself up to legal action. They're going to lose. They're going to lose every turn. They have learned nothing. All right, I do want to close with Sunday. So you and I think we were on the same page. I purposely left Rory McIlroy out of all Masters action because I wanted the euphoria to be outrageous. Be organic, and it was outrageous, by the way, based on the way the whole day went. I was so thankful I had hockey games this weekend, so I couldn't watch it live. I have watched both rounds. I couldn't watch it live. I'm so glad that I didn't have to go through that. Where do you rank this in your lifetime watching Masters? To me, it's 97, it's 19. I think this final round was the best final round ever in terms of drama. Certainly wasn't the best played, but in terms of drama. But in terms of, 97 was earth-shattering and it was sport-changing.
Right.
19 was more nostalgic and it was, oh man, isn't it great he can still do it? Of course, everybody had to fall apart around him to do it. I think this actually is better than 19.
I would agree it's better than 19. Other aspects of 19 that we need to remember: split tees, threesomes, morning tea times. You're just rushing to get it in before the weather comes.
True.
Very chaotic situation. You mentioned everybody falling apart. Like, one of my theories at the time was that the reason why Tiger Woods won was that we created the most mentally challenging conditions at one of the most mentally challenging golf courses. Of course, Tiger Woods was the one who was able to withstand all of the chaos that was just thrown at the way of the competitors. This was a proper Sunday round. This was right out of the cliche book. Masters doesn't start till the second nine. Masters doesn't start till the second nine at Augusta, right? All of those tropes, all of the buildup, the fact that we had all of those minutes being spent showing Rory and Bryson both separated by about 5 bays out there warming up, all of the buildup to it. And then the way it started, Like we had 4 momentum swings in the first 5 holes. And then you get to 11 and 13 and 15 and 17 and 18. And oh my God, how does he bounce back from that?
Kept bouncing back every time.
Yeah. No, that's the if 11 had been won by anybody but Schwartzel, we would have talked about 11 differently.
Yeah,
right?
True.
But like but this one was won by Rory. History being made in an amazing final round. So it was so funny because I really went back to start reviewing all the different years. And one thing that my brain doesn't remember correctly is that 05 was Tiger almost blowing it.
Yeah. Well, he bogeyed 17 and 18 to fall into the playoff.
Yeah. Like I just, for whatever, I had sort of memory hold that detail because it's in this like long run of success, right? And so to go and look at the way that went, it was all of Rory McIlroy's career in 19 holes. It was incredible.
So one quick thing, and then I'll let you go, Chip Patterson. Does this, and I've been joking around, whether I've said it on the air, I've certainly said it with my son, and he's become a huge fan of the sport, loves Rory. I said, if he wins one, he's going to rip off a bunch. I mean, he's 4 out of 13 all time at Quail Hollow. So, I mean, it sort of stands to reason that he is the odds-on favorite here. But what do you think his number ends at?
8.
Yeah, I think it could be higher, but yeah.
He could win the next 3.
Kind of could.
Yeah, Quail Hollow, Oakmont, Portrush. And you want to talk about exercising demons? He missed the cut. He missed the cut at Portrush last time.
He had the course record at one point when he was a teenager.
Yeah. I'm in on 8. That's and probably one more Masters.
Oh yeah. I think we're kind of forgetting the fact that had his mind been freed up enough holding a putter, then that number wouldn't have been 11 under par. It would have been 16 under par because he missed so many makeable putts just on Sunday. Never mind makeable putts that he missed in other days. And you're not going to make all of them. So I'm not suggesting he would have made all of them. But boy, the eagle that he missed on 15, the birdie that he missed on 16, the putt that he missed on 18, of course, that would have won it outright at 12. I mean, that number could have been it could have been an absolute runaway had he just putted a little bit better on Sunday. Chip Patterson, CBSSports.com, Cover 3 podcast moderator. We always cover so much ground when you're here. I thank you so much.
Sounds good. Y'all be well.